I would be standing on scales 8 times a day, before and after every meal, and my happiness was dependent on whatever the scale said to me, and I just always felt like I had to lose weight, I had to lose weight, I had to lose weight, and it got to a point where I finally felt like I fit this netball aesthetic, but behind the scenes I didn't realise my body was shutting down.
While I was in Natasha uni, they diagnosed me with anorexia, and I was like, oh, certainly that's unheard of, having a Polynesian, Samoan person being diagnosed with that. But yeah, no, it took a while to, I suppose, accept that I had an eating disorder.
So back in 2020, I think it was, I did an Instagram post of 2 different photos. One when I was very, very sick. I remember the time I could see my ribs, and following it on maybe like a month or 2 later of putting on weight that was more healthier, to compare the comparison between the two. And in this post I was talking about my feelings and my battles with the scales and just struggling with looking at myself in the mirror. For me, it was just my personal journey. It wasn't about trying to be an ambassador or trying to be this woman that, was feeling not great or was great. I guess social media, sometimes you can see it's got a lens where you only see the good parts of what is going on, not necessarily what's going on behind closed doors. So yeah, got it out there, and then bam, it went viral. And even now, it's quite scary now that you can Google my name and the first thing that comes up sometimes is this body image post. Early 20s, probably taking on too much and all that stuff, so I ended up taking a break from rugby for a couple of years. I got a bit sick, and that was a tough time, but I was able to sort of thankfully bounce back from that and take rugby up again. I've been in the Silver Ferns since I debuted when I was 18. I've been in the high performance netball environment since I was 14. I'm a pathway kid, but growing up I was bigger than the rest of my peers, and so there was this joint decision, I guess, that in order to be a high performance athlete I needed to eat better and I needed to lose weight, and the reflection of losing weight would mean that I was going to be fitter.
It's so important that anyone connecting to athletes has a level of understanding as to how to communicate certain things when it is about weight, and how to support and get the outputs that you need in high performance sport, but also for the athlete. Over the years I would visit the nutritionist and it would just be, okay, you gotta lose 2 kgs this month, and each month was just lose. While other people were getting what we called skin folds to see their body fat percentage, I wasn't really doing any of those. They were just focusing on my weight. So I think that's why I have quite a distorted relationship with the scales. Even now, like, I've come such a long way, but I can't hop on the scales. It just mentally, for me, it will do more harm than any good.
So BMI is body mass index, and it's measured by considering your height and your weight. And then they do a calculation to determine whether you're healthy or obese or morbidly obese. BMI is very limiting in its knowledge. It doesn't consider muscle mass, like compared to All Blacks that are often seen as obese on the BMI scale. So we are really moving away from BMI, particularly for Pasifika, Māori Pasifika.
If anyone has an eating disorder, their performance is going to be reduced. And it's understanding that at the beginning, when someone is being coached or advised that you need to train more, you need to change your diet, those things begin quite naively. It will lead to body changes. And then those body changes may be positively commented on, so it's reinforced through friends, family, coaches, other athletes, and so it gets kind of encouraged.
I've been in the game for 11 years in this, and obviously with more research and more time, there's more information to show. So I guess at the time that's what was relevant, but it has really shaped my view on high performance sport, on women's bodies, on my body. But I guess as I've matured, I've developed my own voice.
There is a lot of focus on health, well-being, fitness, what is the right look or how we should eat, what we should eat. Most people want to be fit, want to be healthy, want to be doing the right thing. And so inadvertently might end up falling into these patterns of behaviour without realising that at a certain point it will take on a life of its own.
When I was in the thick of it, I was isolating myself. It wasn't easy though, like it's one of those things I had to do a lot of therapy. Saw some psychologists, psychotherapists, sports nutritionists, dietitians. Honestly, I think I saw everyone that I thought that if I told anyone, people would think I'm literally a nutcase. I was like, I didn't really tell anyone, but now I'm so proud I did it.
We need more research around what works for who. It's very difficult to know when you first meet someone what's going to work for them exactly, but we do have specific treatments for the disorders themselves.
The best thing is to first seek help and tell someone else, because as you are battling on your own, struggling, there's probably 10 other people in your life that are struggling at the same time too. So talking to someone about it, realising the strengths that you have, seek a psychologist. I've been seeing the same psychologist fortnightly for about 5 or 6 years. And so talking with her and I guess some things are just thoughts. Actually, I know I am strong, I know I am fit, I know I am fast, and having that own self-belief. It's the self-belief and the positive self-talk that's the hardest thing to go through. I also feel that there's a different view on Māori and Pacific women's bodies in sport. We're athletic and strong, but we're not seen as fit and endurance athletes. And so I feel that sometimes in what you see in the media, what you see in terms of representation doesn't truly represent us. Particularly our Māori and Pacific people, we're sad to each other. We love through mocking. And actually that mocking's the worst thing sometimes, because you either get people like, yeah, I know I'm fat and what, or you get some, but deep down it's digging away inside. So how do we be cautious and aware of how powerful our words are? Because the people we're saying it to, we love them dearly, but it's having a massive impact.
Having someone say unhelpful comments won't cause an eating disorder, but it could cause that person to have doubts about how they look, whether they're good enough, which could then lead them into behaviours that might lead to the development of disordered eating or eating disorders.
Something that's fundamental towards me developing the eating disorder at the time was that sense of control. And a big part of my healing process was that I think I managed to get myself to a point where there was no shame in asking for help. There was no shame in asking for support. Obviously my family and friends were incredible, but without that level of professional support, you know, I wouldn't have probably got to where I was at that time.
At times it can be a trigger for me, knowing that in those 2 photos, I actually still look different now and trying to accept that. So it's been a bit of a double-edged sword, and as the years have gone on, I feel more comfortable talking about my story, advocating for it, and showing that there's more than one way to look at netball.
My hope would be that the focus is actually helping someone perform at their best, which is not measured by the number on the scale or what the fat calipers say. That would be my hope, that those aren't what people determine as a measure of high performance.
I still struggle sometimes looking at myself in the mirror today, but knowing that I've come a really long way from that probably 20-year-old who was battling in silence to now being a 25-year-old having a voice and sharing that voice with people.